but I can hear your voice. I know you brought me here, and I will make the choice to believe in our fear.
We are queens with beautiful faces. Courted by our kings, we rule these places. We came from greatness. We are royalty. Ha. You better recognize.
Hey Queens, welcome to Resetting Your Journey. I'm your host, Jasmine Dash, and it's time to accept the past, embrace the present, and change the future. Today, I have my guest, the Lipstick Chatter leader, Miss Chauntele Holley. How are you, Miss Chauntele?
I am wonderful. Thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate you having me on your platform.
Thank you so much. It's not a problem. We are so gracious to be able to have you here with us. So if you don't mind, go ahead and share with everyone what it is that you do, who you are, where you're from, a little bit of background info.
Okay. I am the founder of Lipstick Chatter. Lipstick Chatter is a lifestyle brand. I am a visionary behind a sisterhood movement called Dope Chicks Unite. I'm also an author and a certified authentic leadership coach. Lipstick Chatter started out as a blog about 3 years ago, and it later evolved into a coaching and mentoring business where I serve women who are seeking change, clarity, and the confidence to walk boldly into their purpose unapologetically. And I coach these women on several platforms, and I'm all over social media, and that's how I connect with my following.
And that's how we connected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Miss Chauntele has these amazing Facebook posts that are like so inspiring and transformative, and they always have like blank, so you fill in the blank, and it's like really awesome to see like how everybody else responds. And she has them posted throughout the week, and it was like super engaging because I haven't seen many people do it on my Facebook, but I see it with you consistently, and I just thought that was so awesome. And I love to see everybody else's responses as well. And you put like God is, or today I am, and it's pretty good. Yeah. Awesome.
I like that because it just affirms where we are in our life. And I think that's why I started doing that, because I love affirmations. And instead of just having someone create an affirmation, that's how I pulled them in to be engaged, is to start the conversation. And that's how you start a conversation with that sentence.
I love it. I love it. It's amazing.
Thank you.
No problem. So before you started Lipstick Chatter and before you got involved in all these different things and wrote your book, what is it that happened in your life? Tell us that pivotal moment, that challenge that you faced before God pressed the reset button on your journey.
Well, I guess that would be when I woke up 19 and pregnant and uneducated in the projects of Hempstead, New York, where I was born and raised. I am currently now in Raleigh, North Carolina. You know, I relocated after some years of being there after having my daughter, Jasmine, as well, is her name.
Oh.
And and that was my pivotal moment where I believe God hit that reset button because she saved my life.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow. So tell us more about that. How did that open up your eyes to see the path that God has prepared for you in your life? Give us the steps along the journey from how you got from there, 19 pregnant, in the projects of New York, to where you are right now with your businesses and your coaching and mentoring.
Okay. I believe that happened when I looked and I had a baby, like someone that was looking to me for guidance. For so long, it had just been me. I'm an only child, spoiled, was raised by a single parent. And I know that looking at that child, I had to offer her something different. I had to get her out of where I was in that moment because that wasn't the environment that I wanted to bring her up around. So I relocated she was probably 2 or 3. I relocated down to North Carolina. And I still didn't feel like I belonged because everybody was college educated. I moved to Durham, North Carolina at the time, and it's North Carolina is a college state. So everybody that you meet, they have a college degree. Their first question is, what college did you go to? And I was very intimidated. And I believe that, what got me from that point is learning who I was as an individual, tapping into why God had me here. What was my purpose in life? What was my journey? Staying focused on that, because when you start to compare yourself to other people, you always diminish in size. And that's what I had done. I had shrunk in size because I stopped going around certain people, or I didn't want to go certain places because I didn't want to have that conversation. So overcoming that lack of self-esteem is what caused me to step into my purpose, and that was knowing that I was perfect in God's image. I was living, I was called to live the life that God had designed for me, not the one that society said that I had to live. My situation was not going to deter my destiny, right? So being young and pregnant, people think, oh, you just keep having babies, oh, you'll be on social service, oh, this is your story. That was not going to be my story. That was not going to be my story. I was determined not to be a statistic. So I wanted more. Like I said, I got my credit cleaned up. My goal was to get into a home, to buy a home before my daughter got out of school. By the grace of God, when my daughter was in middle school, I purchased my first home, and she had her own backyard. That was my journey, and that was when I began to come into myself and feel like, okay, God, you're really doing this for me. You've been there all along. You didn't leave me. I wasn't in the journey by myself. So when I began to realize who God was for myself, that changed the game for me. And I began to ask God, why am I here? What would you have me do? How can I serve you? And that's when I discovered the field of coaching. And I went and I got certified to become a certified authentic leadership coach. I met some amazing women on my journey, and it basically was an escalated version of who I had already been all my life. I was looking for something that was already right there within me. Women were asking me. I was always that go-to girl, amongst my friends, amongst strangers, amongst my coworkers. I'm always that sound voice that they come and they seek guidance from. So me becoming a life coach was not a surprise to some people, because that's always been my role, to encourage and inspire and uplift. So I just began to understand who I was. And God, once you take one step, Jasmine, God will provide provision for the rest of the way. And so often I don't think that we understand that. We get paralyzed by the first step. We just don't know where to go. Instead of just going where God is leading you, we fight it, right? Yeah. So I could have said, oh, that's not my journey. Nobody's going to want to listen to me. And I did. I did for about a year. I did that with myself for about a year. Nobody's going to want to listen to me. Who would listen to me? So you go through all the self-sabotage, because we are our own worst enemy. So I went through all of that, and I finally surrendered to what God had called me to do, and here I am. I am.
Good. That's good. So you talked about so many moments of opportunity that it seemed like you gravitated towards the positive side. I wanted to know, was there a specific support system that was in place for you in your life along this journey, or was it just you out there completely on your own trying to figure it out, or did you literally begin to meet people and God opened those doors and divine connections for you?
God blesses us through people. I thank God that I have a mother who's always been there, who's always been supportive. So meeting other women on my journey, I met a lady when I was working in telecommunications, and she always said to me, you're going to be you're going to host workshops. That was her thing. You're going to host workshops. You're going to be a teacher. And I'm like, a teacher? I don't like school. We can't think outside our own box, right? So instantly, teacher goes to history lessons, math, English. So never did I dream of being a life coach. That was not my dream. My dream was to be a social worker. And so when college wasn't on the table for me, when I was like, I don't want to go, because it's not like I didn't have an option. The option was there. Like I said, my mom has always been in my life, but it just wasn't for me. And I've always been one to go with the vibe of energy. Energy is big for me.
Right.
You know, so for that, it wasn't for me. So I know that I'm operating in my gift because of the energy that I feel when I speak to women, and I uplift them, and I change the trajectory of their life through a program or a system that I developed and I've taught them.
Yes. Definitely.
So I've never been alone. I've never been alone. I've been a loner, but I've never been alone because I'm an only child. So I haven't lived with my mom, you know, since I had my child, but I've always had that support. And I've always been spiritual. So I never felt alone.
Okay. That's wonderful. That's good. And it's interesting you said that about North Carolina. I grew up part of my life there.
Oh, really?
And I graduated from North Carolina A&T. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I get that whole, like, it's college town all over the place. And
my daughter graduated from UNC Greensboro.
Oh, so we're right down the street from each other. Yeah. So, yeah, I could feel that, and I can only imagine how that pressure must have felt, because when I was going to high school, I think when I was going to middle school, people talked about college all the time then. But when I was going to high school, it was a really big deal because there's so many different schools and opportunities there for you to be, like, there's no reason for you not to go. So I can only imagine how that must have felt, like, you know what I'm saying, coming, like, from, like, being, like, technically an outsider coming into this place where that's all they talk about. Like,
that's like all they talk about.
I was going to say that's half the people's livelihoods there from college.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So, and it could be any different departments, divisions, anything, but it's just, like, really big. I never even thought about it that way. It was very interesting. Even
with March Madness, with the basketball, with schools, like, they go crazy in North Carolina over college sports. Yes.
It's like a really big deal. So, yeah, interesting. So thank you for sharing your journey with us. I think it's, like, very commendable and honorable that you'd be able to, you know, take that moment in your life where many people now, like, even younger than 19, they go and they have babies and they you know, end up being a statistic and just stuck in their situation. And I can say this because I'm a product of a young mother, a single mother. My mom was 19 when she had me, and I feel like she was kind of like you, and, like, she didn't want her kids to, like, grow up in the same situation and environment that she did. So she moved us out, and it made a big impact on our lives to not have to go through that. Of course, like, we still had our own different individual struggles that happen. However, I feel like that my mind, because I wasn't brought up in that, because at least that she did that part and knew that she didn't want us to grow up in that way, my mind was able to be expanded and to be open to different cultures and experiences and different things. So it definitely was, like, super helpful to me, even for her making the decision that she did. So I'm sure the same thing with your daughter as well. And she's afforded different opportunities than she would have been if you guys would have stayed where you were.
Exactly. And that's what it was all about for me. Like, that was non-negotiable for me, that she would not live that life and that she would have different opportunities that I had. And that is my greatest joy, that I was able to provide that.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's really phenomenal. So can you share with us your favorite scripture?
My favorite scripture is Psalm 37:25. Okay. I have been young and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread.
Amen to that. Why is that your favorite scripture?
Because through all my struggles, being a single mom at 19, I never went without. God always provided a way. My lights were never out. My rent might have been late, but it got paid. I never got put out. God always provided a way, and I never, ever, ever had to beg for anything. I never had to degrade myself to feed my child. And I thank God for that, because I knew of so many females that were doing strange things for change. And I just could not. And I could not, and God never put me in that situation. And I praise God for that, and I always thank Him for that, that I've never been seen begging for bread, right? Yeah. So I've always been the head and not the tail. I've had help. People have come along and they have helped me when I was younger, but I thank God that wasn't my story for too long. I've always been, as a mature adult, I've always been that giver. I've always been that one who's able to help take care of everybody else, and that's without that college education. That's without that sound backing where people think that in order to be successful, you have to have 5 degrees on your wall. Right? Mm-hmm. So I've been able to provide that and take care of myself and raise a child, 25-year-old, who's successful herself now. And God has been good, so that's why I love that verse. That's awesome. Why I love that verse, because I know that He's always been there. He's always kept His hand on my life.
Yes. That is very awesome. I love that. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
No problem. So can you tell us what it is that you do daily to let your light shine?
Daily, I blog. Daily, I minister to women in my private accountability group in Facebook, Coaching Clarity and Confidence. And I have over 750 women in that group. Wow. And every day I uplift them and I inspire them to go after their goals, regardless of your situation. Seasons change. We get so caught up in our right now that we can't focus on our next. And it cripples us and it keeps some of us stuck. So I minister daily to women to keep going in spite of it all, because we're going to come out on the other side. And when you come out on the other side, you need to have a plan. You need to have a goal. You need to have direction. You need to have that clarity. So that's what I do every day to let my light shine. Whether I feel like it or not, I minister to those women.
I love that. You just keep going.
You just keep going, and we have to.
Yeah, it's super commendable, especially, your story. In spite of adversity, you still keep going. And that's the biggest part of, I think, of resetting your journey, is to be able to share those opportunities with people that everybody has a story to tell. And no matter what, if you just keep pushing through, you will get to the light at the end of the tunnel. You will see the light at the end of the like, it's there and it's available for you.
That's right.
It's amazing and inspiring to me to be able to interview all of you amazing, miraculous women, because it's just kind of like that no matter what. At the end of the day, like, everybody has something. It's just all about perspective. I think I sent that out earlier today, all about perspective. And if you, like, put into focus, like, okay, like, I'm going through all of this stuff, it's going to seem like it's a lot. But if you put into focus that you'll get through it, and you focus on the fact that you will get through, or that you already are an overcomer, then everything shifts in your life, and you begin to see, like, the opportunities instead of the obstacles, and be able to, like, push through past those points and like you said, to get through it. So that's definitely awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it's like you said, Jasmine, it's like a no matter what testimony, because everybody has something. We all are going through something at some point in our lives, some season in our lives, some longer than others. And I believe that some sit with it longer because of their mindset. Because they won't allow themselves to let it go. Yeah. Our ego causes us to control everything around us, because we don't allow ourselves to let go and let God be who God is, and we function on the level of who we are as human beings, because we are going to make mistakes. We are going to fall short. We are going to endure heartache. We are going to endure sickness, things like that. Things come, but they pass as well. Yes. So this too shall pass. You have to have that no matter what testimony. Regardless of what I'm going through right now, I'm still going to get up and I'm still going to show up.
I know that's right. Amen to that. That's right. I love that. Love that. So I'm going to jump right into it and ask you talking to your 19-year-old self, or your 18-year-old self before you got pregnant, what are 3 things that you would tell your younger self?
You are beautiful is the first thing that I would tell myself. And the second thing I would tell myself is be patient. Be patient. And the third thing I would tell myself, everything you'll ever need, Chauntele, resides on the inside of you.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Those are words of wisdom, period.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love it. Yes. So I am a queen, and I love me some me. Tell us why it is that you love you some you. What makes you so extraordinary?
I believe it's my blueprint. It's like your fingerprint. What makes me extraordinary is the very uniqueness of my being, my fiber. Every day I wake up, Jasmine, and I aspire to be a better version of Chauntele than I was yesterday. And I stay committed to my personal journey and my goals. I don't get caught up in what everybody else is doing, because that's the biggest distraction I could ever have. You know, I know that God has called me to higher ground, so therefore I know he expects more of me than he would expect of someone else. So I walk in obedience. Who said it? Maya Angelou, when you know better, you do better. We are called to do better, right? We are called to do better. I'm far from perfect, but I am certainly faithful over what God has given me. Yes. And that's what makes me extraordinary. And that's why I love me some me.
I love that. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, couldn't have said it any better myself. Yes, extremely well stated. Oh, my goodness.
Thank you.
Lovely. All right, so I like to do 10 seconds of motivation for all of our guests here on Resetting Your Journey. So what that entails is that I give you 10 seconds, Chauntele, to be able to just motivate, inspire, encourage, uplift, whatever it is that you have to say, but you just got to shout it out, the first thing that's on the tip of your tongue, in 10 seconds. So are you ready?
Love yourself more. I'm ready.
You're jumping in.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get my 10 seconds in.
All right. In 3, 2, 1.
Love yourself most. Awaken to the life that God has called you up front for. Forget what everyone has told you and step into your destiny.
All right. That was less than 10 seconds. Go, Miss Chauntele. Yay.
Awesome.
And it was powerful, too. I love that.
Good.
Yes. Good. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Well, I want to say, yes, I just want to really say we thank you so much for being here and sharing your testimony and your journey with us, and just being open and, like, talking about those moments of when you were younger and how God continuously guided you along your path. And no matter about the qualifications, it didn't matter, because God called you to something great, and it is just empowering and inspiring that you are able to share your story with us. So I thank you for that.
You are welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So if you would like to let our listeners know how it is that they can contact you, and then we'll be able to end this episode.
Okay. I am all over social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, as Lipstick Chatter. They can email me at letsconnect@lipstickchatter.com. And I also have my book, Hiding Behind Lipstick. It's in Barnes & Noble, on Amazon. It's all over.
Ooh, I love that title.
It's in Walmart. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I feel like I forgot something. So,
what'd you forget?
I forgot to ask you a resource or a tool that you'd like to share with us or recommend.
So a resource would be if everyone would read the book, The 4 Agreements. It's a practical guide to personal freedom, and it's by Don Miguel Ruiz. And again, it's called The 4 Agreements. A short read, amazing, will change your life.
Definitely. All right. Well, I will make sure that I add that to the resources page.
Yes.
So everybody can get that, as well as along as a copy of your book. And tell us what that
Hiding
is again.
Behind Lipstick. Hiding Behind Lipstick.
I love it. Yep. I love it. Thank you so much again, and have a great day, everyone.
You too, Jasmine. Take care.
Thank you for listening, Queens. Were you encouraged by today's episode? Are you ready to live? Is it time to press reset on your life?
If so, visit aplaceforqueens.net
to find out more about our guests and resources mentioned on the show. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. And remember, you are not alone. On that note, let's end with the jam session.
Before me, behind me, everywhere you're with me. I know I'm never alone. So wherever you lead me, God, that's where I'm gonna be. If you say go, I'm not gonna wait. If you say move, I won't hesitate. Wherever it is that you're taking me to, I'm gonna trust in you. If you say go, if you say go,
Know that I am royalty. I am royalty. Take one look at me, you see royalty. I am royalty. This is royalty. Take one look at me. I am royal.
you're radiant, you're honest, and you're beautiful girl. Measuring, come and give them wings. Lord, with you, there's nothing I can't do. Brave, brave. You make me brave.
1,000 second chances. And when I get to $9.99, I get to press reset.
I love,
I love you, queens.